You. You. Well, guys, we went live. We have a blizzard. It's not really a blizzard, but basically what looks like a blizzard outside, and my connection seems to be crap. We're getting about half the bit rate that we usually do. I have no idea if you guys are really going to be able to watch this. It might be skipping too much. But we'll give it a try, the good old college try. If it does start skipping, the best thing you can do is just rewind it like 10 seconds and then play it and just be 10 seconds behind. Usually that helps. But we'll find out. Oh, man. Well, smash the likes. Holy crap, we're getting less than 4,000 bit rate. Need about 9,000 to be steady. But smash the likes and subscribes. Great to be here, even if we are it's a little sketchy. Let's see. Let's do the shill quick. You guys do quick shill and then we'll be done. It sounds good. So let's start it off with April 6th through 9th. Join me in Miami. That's right. In Miami for the Bitcoin 2022 conference. Every sign up, you can use the promo code CROWN for 10% off, and I believe you get a discount for paying in Bitcoin. But everyone who uses the promo code will get a high five from me. I know, limited edition, limited quantity. Join the Discord. We're still going to do an airdrop after this live stream. Subscribe, like, etc. Ooh, cool news. I'm kind of done with the shill. Cool news. On the 14th, so that's what? 2 days from now. I will be hosting with the RCC, our cryptocurrency subreddit, Kevin O'Leary. We'll be doing a live chat with him, talking about the executive order, basically from an institutional perspective or an accredited investor perspective, the impacts, the feedback, etc. What get his thoughts on it. Should be pretty cool. It's going to be focused mostly on just him talking, but I'll be there to be your wonderful, handsome MC. That's right. All right, getting choppy? Yup. What's up, C. Lastinger from Atlanta? Shout out to ATL, man. I have some friends there, as you may know. Yeah, this storm is kicking the connections butt. There's nothing we can do about it. We're just going to try to power through again. Feel free to rewind like 10 seconds and let it play from there. That usually smooths out the buffering. But it might just be unavoidable today. So let's get into the chart. Let's get into a little chart here. Bitcoin on the daily hasn't really moved since last time we streamed. Not very exciting. Not a lot of spice. I know, it's weird. It's weird. Everything was so exciting. There was so much going on with the Ukraine, Russia stuff. And then it really fell flat. Really fell flat on its head or on its nose, its face, whatever. Price really just consolidating. So what are we seeing? We are seeing more of the same. More of the same. From November's high, we fell to a higher low at 33,000. That has held for now. We had a very weak retracement. Not convinced this is the extent of the upside. This is really not a typical retracement for Bitcoin, especially after such a tight fall. There's really no relief. Very small relief bounces. Nothing convincing. I'm still not sold on this, but small recovery, 44.5-ish. We saw a sell-off for another higher low at 34.5. And another higher low, 45, and then we came back down. Now we were at 37.2. Another lower high, 42.5. Another higher low, 38.3. Price action, very boring, not very spicy. What we see kind of building here on the macro, well, this isn't macro, this is more local. What we see building on the daily is a pretty clearly defined symmetrical triangle, at least for now, where our highs are coming down, our lows are coming up, and this can continue on. You don't necessarily, these don't necessarily have to resolve quickly. We can keep seeing this price action happen. I don't think it's very likely to really move like I've drawn it here, but this is just to get the idea. Symmetrical triangles in crypto, kind of a wild card pattern. I don't believe personally they have an edge. They are very 50-50. Lots of people would refer to this as a bear flag. They may be correct. And in traditional markets, you very much would expect this to break to the downside. But in crypto, these just, in my experience, don't have a trading edge. They don't. Just roll the dice. You guys know what I'm thinking still. That hasn't changed. I'm looking for a real retracement. This is the same logic, the same thought process we had last year in the summer when we were in a similar position. We said, "Hey, we fell. We didn't get a relief. We didn't get a bounce. We're looking for 48.8." Well, we got it. We got 48.8. No, everyone had given up hope. We were like the last bulls in the pen. We rallied, pulled back, went to a higher high. So that's what I'm looking for here. Of course, I would love it to play out that same way. See that recovery, higher low, move on to a higher high, but it's way too early to tell. I'm very confident that we will see at least 50K, or I would even say 48.8, even if we're going to see lower prices. I feel like a broken record. That's all right. YouTube is not receiving enough data to maintain smooth streaming. Well, we got smooth audio, but not smooth streaming. Let's take a look at some moving averages. Guys, please give me feedback. I know that the connection here because of the storm is not good. This is not our typical. In fact, we really have had great luck with streaming over the last year. We haven't really had any issues. But if it's really bad, we'll probably just call it. And if that's the case, make sure you are subscribed and you have liked the video. And make sure you're in the Discord because we can maybe do something in the Discord after. There we go. Yeah, let's look at our moving averages. We've been paying attention to our 20 and 50 above price. They're relatively untested. We haven't seen price rally back up. You'll never guess that's right around that 48.8 area. Untested, they're looking bearish, but price hasn't really responded. The 100 weekly below us, untested as well. And what still is spicy here is the 200 weekly, which historically has been a very opportune buying time. On Coinbase, we've only seen that tested really 3 times, but if you look at the BLX index, you'll see that actually historically this has held pretty solid for the entirety of Bitcoin's history. The spiciness here, of course, is the 200 weekly is sitting right at the previous all-time high of 20K. If we do see that black swan, that crazy break down from here with no retrace, 20K would be maybe a generational buying opportunity. The last time the 20 weekly was tested was exactly 2 years ago, and I was so thrown off by the streaming issues I forgot to say it. This is the 2-year anniversary. This is our 2-year dump anniversary from the March 2020 crash. Bitcoin traded from about 10,500 down to 3,800 in the course of 2 weeks, 3 weeks. The majority of that was on March 12th. That's when we saw the real dump. Interesting coincidence. March 12th last year, or 2 years ago, was also a weekend. And the reason I know that, without even looking at it, is because Bitcoin dumped first, and then I believe stocks dumped on the Monday open. I might be mistaken. But this is our 2-year anniversary. March 12th was the day. Let's actually look at that. If you're a patron, you got a nice little post about this today. Hope you enjoyed it. So there we are. Right here, we can see on March 12th, 2020, Bitcoin closed a daily candle minus 38%, one of the largest single-day declines in Bitcoin's history. And if we look at the total move of that day, it was actually a minus 52% from the daily open. Oh, well, no, that's the next day's wick. My bad. Still looks cooler. Still get the idea here. In a 2-day candle, then. It was a 52% dump in under 48 hours. This was maybe the craziest, most hopeless, miserable time of my Bitcoin experience. This blindsided everyone. I say this a lot. If you meet someone who says that back in 2020, before March, they knew, they called it, they're full of it. They're full of shit. We all saw this pattern play out. In fact, your Permabull host, Tom Crown himself, took a short position at 10,500. It was this simple play. It was easy. I'm not going to get into it. So I was short, but in no capacity did I expect Bitcoin to trade down to 3,800. Not a chance. We saw this weakness. We saw a dump. I believe I closed my short right about here. So I closed it in some solid profit, but nobody saw this coming. And it's going to be really easy for people to say that, in hindsight, now in the future, when no one really can fact check them, that they saw this coming. But back then, the market and the sentiment wasn't really bullish to begin with. It was a little bit, we got kind of hyped on this April, May, June rally. There was some hype here for sure. But by the time this came around, everybody was back in bear mode. The rally had been rejected. We really were just seeing lower lows and lower highs. So the majority of even our community was pretty bearish. And the most bearish members of our community, I remember that week talking about it. They were like, yeah, dude, I was bearish, but I never saw that coming. Of course you did. This was such a wild card. But this was a huge moment in Bitcoin history. This was maybe the first big shakeup Bitcoin had ever experienced. And that 52% dump in a 48-hour period definitely reflects that. If we look at it from February's high, it was a 63% dump. Pretty wild. And that's actually off of an already 40% dump from June's highs back then in 2019. So this is pretty spicy. If we want to look at it like this, let me see what you guys are seeing. Let's look at it like this. I'll do it like that. So right here, and I'm going to do this so we don't get distracted. Ooh. Come on. Make this black. There we go. Son of a bee. I'm having technical troubles, having streaming troubles, and now I'm having chart troubles. There we go. That way we don't get distracted. If we look at it this way, it's pretty interesting. Let's get rid of this for now. On a 2-year rolling average. So I like to talk about this on occasion, and especially when we see things like exactly 3 months after a large move, up or down, exactly 6 months, exactly 1 year, exactly 2 years. There's an interesting concept to be kind of pondered here is there are apps, software apps, websites, tracking stuff that do what I call a rolling price. So this would be, if we look back, a 2-year rolling price, meaning tomorrow that will progress one day, but by tomorrow, the low of that move will be out of the 2-year rolling price. So specifically today, we have a wild 2-year rolling. The 2-year rolling right now, at its trough, 3,800, its high, 69,000, currently trading at 40K. The 2-year average, or the 2-year rolling, looks absolutely maybe the most bullish thing on the planet. Maybe. It's up 900%. A 2-year rolling today is going to be up 900%. In a week, it will no longer be up 900%, of course, because we'll progress days forward, those lows will be gone, etc. It's just an interesting thing to think about, because there is a non-zero, and I would argue even a meaningful amount of people who view charts this way. They just see that rolling average. Hopefully that makes sense. So I do expect some shenanigans today. The chart's not telling me shenanigans. I'm not seeing it. In fact, we're seeing nothing. Chart's not doing shit. But I expect some shenanigans. I think that we're going to see market makers play with that. I think we're going to see them play. Actually, now that I'm saying this out loud and looked at it with you guys, I see that it was the 13th that actually had the lowest point of that move. So maybe the shenanigans are tomorrow. That will be Sunday's close, a perfect time for shenanigans as we open up traditional markets on Monday. God knows what that's going to bring. Every Monday has been a nail biter for the last month or so. So that actually could be very spicy. So I guess I'll modify it to, I'm expecting spice today, but maybe it's tomorrow. Maybe it's tomorrow. If nothing happens today or tomorrow, I'm going to be very surprised. If I was a whale, this is the way I like to think about it. If I controlled the market, what would I do to throw everyone off? And what I would do is I would take advantage of that 2-year rolling to throw people off. People are seeing a 900% gain on a 2-year time frame. Maybe a dump on them. People didn't see that 900% gain. Now they do all of a sudden. Maybe they start FOMOing. Maybe you front run them. Maybe you pump it and you front run them. Maybe we see that move to 48.8. I don't know. Didn't know. Something I noticed I do want to share with you guys that I don't love. So this is the daily time frame. I don't love this. Not gonna lie, this is not super great. Right here. So we're seeing our highs come down and our lows come up on the daily. Why don't I like this? I don't like this because, well, first of all, it's not a very common thing to see. This is not a common thing to see on the daily. If we look back, you can see that this is not a pattern that emerges really with any consistency. We have almost nothing that is identical. Nothing that I can see. Almost nothing. But there is one time this did happen. I don't love it. This is the only one that I can think of. This was not a good time. This resolved in not a good way. This was right before. This was in 2018, right before 2019, when price had traded between 6K, lower highs, but 14K, 6K, whatever. Lower highs for about a year. Really became very flat and unvolatile, kind of like what we're seeing now. We have lots of very small daily candles, low volatility, and price fell from 6 to 3,000, fell 50%. I will admit the time scales, the frames of reference here are very different. They're very different. So this is the price action I was just talking about. This is why I don't love what we're seeing. Fell 50%. I don't love it. But this was very different. This is a very different, I mean, you guys know I don't put that much stock in kind of the news or whatever. I love the charts. But this was very different even outside of that, just on a chart level, fundamental or technical level. Why is that? Well, we have something very different. We had a blow off top. Blow off top. No retracement, straight up. Price more than it quadrupled in a month. It went from 5K to 20K. Then it fell down. Then it fell. We went from 20K to 10K to a lower high. We got sent down from, this was 10, down to 5. So we had the lower high, lower low scenario. And then we saw so many failed attempts at a higher high. Shotgun, machine gun style. So what was this? This was our favorite pattern, but not the way we like to usually see it. This is our favorite trading pattern, which is the bear flag or the flat bottomed triangle. Our highs came down, our lows were flat. Eventually it resolved down. So we're not in this scenario if we look at price action now. That's not what we're seeing. There's no way you can argue that they are. Period. You can still say that this will break to the downside, but you can't argue that this is the same pattern. And that's because we don't have a flat bottom. We had a flat bottom last year. We have not reached those lows again. And unlike in 2018, we didn't have this pattern. That might be spookier. We don't have that pattern. We had our highest point in price right here. So maybe this will start making sense to you guys. Why I keep talking about a retracement, about 48K or 52K, is this. Is if we're going to see a bearish scenario, in my opinion, it plays out this way. We move up, we see a lower high, we move down. Likely in that scenario, it might not. Don't pay attention to where I draw these arrows. I'm just kind of doodling them. In that scenario, then we likely see lower high, something like that. Then we have that pattern. Then we have the flat bottom, but we don't have the flat bottom yet. If anything, this is, I would say, technically closer to the opposite of a flat top with our lows ascending. I would still argue that because our lows very much are ascending. We see them coming up. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. So all it would take is a retest of this area to create the opposite. The opposite of that. That's what we're hoping for. This is still very far out. We need at least another test of like the 60K area for that to even be on the table. But yeah, I got to this by saying, that's why I'm not loving this RSI, because this gives me flashbacks to 2018. That does not mean it's going to resolve. We have logical reasoning. These really aren't the same technical patterns. What we're looking at here is specifically, without context, I guess, just under a microscope, just RSI, and that is somewhat reminiscent of that. So just wanted to share my experience there with you guys and kind of most people likely aren't looking at this, aren't thinking about it, but that's immediately where my brain went. I guess, honestly, now that I think about it and I just looked at it again, it actually looks more similar. Ooh, maybe this is spicy. It actually looks more similar inverted to back then. So wait, let me show you that. Here's my reasoning on that one. Ooh, maybe we just found some spice, boys. Spice, boys, spice up your life. The reason being, we had the overbought. RSI was overbought and then began to do this symmetrical triangle, okay? See that here. So it came from a high, fell down to a low. When we look at what happened here, it's actually the opposite. Oversold and then began the symmetrical triangle. I wouldn't trade based off of that. And again, nothing I say is financial advice, as it says in the video description below. Wouldn't trade off of it, but this is something to keep an eye on. I'm actually surprised. I'm going to pull those up side by side so you guys can see. I love this song. I don't know if you guys can even hear the music, but I love this song. Darkest ground. Okay, so there we go, and I can see both. This is today. Yeah, we'll do 2022. We'll do 2018. Oh. I guess I have to go back to 2018, huh? There we go. Yeah, that fits really well. Interesting. Yep. So here we go. Ready? Ready, steady, go. All right. So we have RSI for 2022 on the left, 2018 on the right, and we're saying, hey, these are really similar patterns. I don't really love that, right? I'll make it look better. Give me a second. Okay. Don't really love that they're similar, right? We see like symmetrical triangle playing out. And the difference, this is why I just latched onto it, is in 2018, RSI on the daily actually hadn't become oversold. It came from an overbought status. It fell, and then it began doing this, right? Well, here in 2020, we're actually doing it in reverse here. We're coming from oversold, and then we've moved into this. So from overbought into this, oversold into this, and my hypothesis, and this is what I really wanted to show you, is if I invert this, I bet these look pretty damn similar. Yeah, that's some spicy TA, man. Oof, that's some spice. Look at that. I dig it. I dig it. We're connecting some dots here. Again, guys, this isn't like for trading. It's just interesting. I find it very interesting that the daily RSI has a similar pattern, but it does look inverted to me. It does look inverted. I don't even know how I got on that tangent. I don't even know. God, my bit rate is like 0. Rest in peace, frames. We're dropping all of our frames. Let's do a little update here on the weekly. Yeah, we still have bullish divergence on the monthly, still have bullish divergence on the weekly low here. This is what we've been watching for some time. Our momentum on the sell side for the weekly time frame continues to wane off. This was one of our only bullish signals back in last year, May, June, July. Seriously, every other time frame looked like crap. The weekly said, hey, look, you're losing momentum. You have some bullish divergence. I know everyone else disagrees with me, says the weekly. But the weekly did show us. It shows us the way. We're seeing that again. I'm glad to see that this hasn't been broken, especially after closing 3 red weeks. We're still seeing that wane off. That's no guarantee, but it's something. It's something. Market Cipher, it's good to see the VWAP trending up, especially with money flow so close to the neutral 0 line. But we really need to see this pull up, man. We need to see that retracement to that 48 to 52 level. That'll pull all of this up. We could have a near miss on money flow. Instead of going negative, we may see it just near miss, pull back up. That's happened before back here. September 2020, very similar in my opinion price action to right now. It adds up. It works. Just waiting for the follow through. The reason I have any confidence whatsoever in that, though, is the 2 week. So the weekly looks like death, but the 2 week doesn't, which is unusual. It's unusual. Yes, momentum is negative, but it hasn't remained negative. You can see it actually remained in the positive territory for the better part of 2 years. It just began to sink into the negative. But what catches my eye, and this has been true, is money flow is still trending up. Despite momentum pulling it down, despite VWAP moving very negative, money flow is still moving up. Now we're seeing our VWAP trend back up after failing to set a lower low. This would be pretty logical, even if you get rejected kind of here. Even if we see something like this happen. If it goes like this, that would be bad. But even if that happens, it still does seem like this is going to want to curl back up and at least kind of back test maybe the 0 line. That VWAP is too strong for me to think otherwise. 1 day and 6 hours. So actually on this weekly close will be the 2 week close. And we may have our first waning momentum. Rock and roll. That'd be a nice close. Doesn't really take much either, apparently. Doesn't look like it's going to take much. Some choppy daily momentum, but still bias of the negative. Market cipher not looking solid here. Daily view up coming down. We've rejected from crossing over. It could cross back over again, but at the moment we don't have that. Money flow is still negative. It could be going for a near miss on the negative money flow for the daily. That could all play out, and then we could still see the 2 week play out in the way that we looked, kind of examined it earlier. A few streams ago, or I don't know, a few weeks ago, we were looking at this. Maybe it was last week. Looking at this. We see our oscillators are just crunching down with everything else. They're building up momentum, and we said, well, whichever side breaks its high first, well, breaks its swing first, is likely to be the direction it goes. So we haven't done that yet. We could see that happen in the next few days, or we could see it come back up, stay in this kind of consolidation symmetrical triangle BS, keep people holding their breath. That's probably likely. This Bollinger Bands. Ooh, Bollinger Bands are nice and tight. Giggity. Nice and tight. Not really that similar to summer, other than the tightness of them. We've just seen volatility really be restricted here. Won't take much. I don't know. I'm not taking any positions. No thanks. So this is why it's so god dang boring. God dang hot dog. This is the hourly chart. That wasn't right. This is the hourly chart, and how long have we been at this range? 2 days, 13 hours, roughly. We have been within, what is this, like, let's call it 40 and 38.3. Boring. Boring. But something that's not the worst is, I think we can probably say we are looking at a horizontal channel. I think that's safe to say. And the reason that's not the worst is horizontal channels tend to break to the upside. There's your trading range. There it is. These tend to break to the upside. The probability is slightly in favor of an upside break. Certainly won't mean we're going to the moon, but we could see something like this. Move up to that golden pocket retrace, 40,800. That's back into that zone where we had strong support that got nuked. And then maybe we see it come back down. We see another higher low, and we just continue the dance. That's probably what's going to happen. At least until maybe Sunday. Today or Sunday. Today or tomorrow, we're going to get something. Look at how tight this price action is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. For 13 hours, price ranged here. Within 1% price. Wow, that is really low volatility. For 13 hours, Bitcoin didn't move more than 1%. Welcome to, this is Tom Crown. Welcome to the sideways market. Welcome to the sideways market. Little does everyone know, they